Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Today in African History with Baba Shaka. I'm Baba Shaka and today is February 16, 2021. Typically, we would examine an event or an occasion that has taken place or occurred on this particular date sometime in our history. Today, we want to do something a little different. We want to look at an occurrence that began in 2014 and continues to this day. We want to take a look at Nigeria's treatment of one Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaky that the world seems to know very little about or is actively ignoring. Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaky, a leader to many Shia Muslim followers in both Nigeria and abroad, has been illegally incarcerated by the Saudi backed Nigerian government since 2015 after a deadly raid on his home in Zaria by Nigerian forces, during which he was violently attacked and thousands of his followers were slaughtered. The Nigerian administration has repeatedly demonstrated its utter contempt for human life, from the mass murder of thousands of members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, or IMN, to burning women and children alive, and to poisoning the spiritual leader with lead and cadmium. Despite such crimes, the Nigerian government is yet to be held accountable by the international community. Muhammadu Buhari, the president of Nigeria, who meticulously authorized these crimes, has still not been persecuted by the International Criminal Court, or the ICC, nor accepted any form of responsibility for the massacre. In April 2019, a team of medics and members of the Islamic Human Rights Commission, or IHRC, traveled to Nigeria to examine Sheikh Zakzaky and issued two reports declaring that he required urgent specialist treatment which could only be accessed outside of Nigeria. In the last few years, IHRC received further reports highlighting that the health of Zakzaky has further deteriorated since their visit. The lead levels in his body has been described as quote unquote dangerously high, and without immediate medical treatment, the world may witness another devastating death of a powerless individual. In a press release, the IHRC revealed that worrying levels of cadmium were found in the urine samples taken from Zakzaky. In an article published under the Caspian Journal of International Medicine, it has been professed that, quote, long-term exposure to cadmium through air, water, soil, and fuel and food leads to cancer and organ system toxicity such as skeletal, urinary, reproductive, cardiovascular, central and peripheral nervous and respiratory systems, unquote. IHRC has highlighted that the toxicity level remains off the scale throughout Zakzaky's body. It should also be acknowledged that this is a direct result of the shrapnel from bullets that have been left in his body since 2015. During the massacre, Zakzaky lost all vision in his left eye and was repeatedly denied any medical attention to treat his wounds. The denial of medical attention is a clear breach of Article 10 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which states, and I quote, all persons deprived of their liberty shall be treated with humanity and with respect for the inherent dignity of the human person, unquote, as well as Article 7, which affirms, I quote again, no one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degraded treatment or punishment, unquote. On the 2nd of December 2016, the Federal High Court in Abuja ruled that Sheikh Zakzaky and his wife, Malama Zinatu Ibrahim, were to be released within 4 to 5 days. The High Court described their detention as both illegal and unconstitutional. The deadline for the court order expired on Monday, the 16th of January, 2017. It expired in 2017, and this is 2021, and Sheikh and his wife are still incarcerated. Nigerian authorities have not complied with the High Court's order, and Muhammad Zakzaky, the son of Ibrahim Zakzaky, fears that the authorities are trying their utmost best to assassinate his father. On Saturday, the 7th, July 2019, Muhammad Zakzaky visited his parents and shortly after released a statement revealing that he does not think his father will live much longer given his current condition. Towards the end of the statement, Muhammad Zakzaky expressed the following, quote, although I do not wish to give in to despair, at this current point, I feel that there's little left that I can do to try to save them, as every single attempt we have currently made has either been deliberately frustrated or simply ignored. Years ago, I stated that it appears that there is a deliberate attempt to assassinate my parents through deliberate negligence towards their health. Back then, I did not know the extent of it, and I'm telling you, the fact that they have managed to survive this long is a miracle, unquote. In a report submitted to the UN by the Islamic Human Rights Commission in May 2019, it was asserted that the Zaria massacre was an evident breach of Article 6, Paragraph 1 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which declares, I quote, every human being has the inherent right to life. This right shall be protected by law. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his life, unquote. The report also states that the torture faced by members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria is a breach of Article 7, which states, no one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degraded treatment or punishment. In particular, no one shall be subjected without his free consent to medical or scientific experimentation. It should be duly noted that on the 12th of October 2016, just 10 months after the Zaria massacre, approximately 300 more Shia Muslims were arbitrarily arrested and 100 wounded simply for attending a peaceful procession to mark the martyrdom anniversary of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, one of the grandsons of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The 10th day of Muharram, also known as Ashura, is a significant date in the Islamic calendar, and Muslims attend processions and peaceful gatherings to renew their allegiance to the Prophet and his household. Now, who is this Ibrahim Zakzaky? Born in 1953, Sheikh Zakzaky is a 65-year-old Muslim cleric in Nigeria who studied economics at the Ahmadu Bello University from 1976 to 1979, where he obtained a first-class bachelor's degree. The university, however, refused to award him his degree due to his association with Islam. While studying at university, he played an active role in the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria and initially started out as Secretary General for the society before proceeding to become Vice President. Sheikh Zakzaky is the head of the Islamic movement group in Nigeria, which has thousands of affiliates both from the Sunni and the Shia schools of thought and numerous Christian affiliates. The group has successfully organized peaceful pro-Palestinian demonstrations on an annual basis for 33 years, particularly within the state of Kaduna, Nigeria. Zakzaky has been a vocal opponent of various Nigerian governments throughout the years and has predominantly criticized leaders for failing to follow the Constitution and acting as military dictators instead. Due to his outspoken condemnation of the government, he has been incarcerated for at least 9 years in a total of 9 different prisons. They keep moving him around. On the 12th of December 2015, the Nigerian army massacred more than 300 Muslims, including members of the Islamic movements, in response to what they stated was an assassination attempt on Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai when his convoy passed by a makeshift roadblock near a Shia mosque. The attack carried out by the Nigerian army targeted the Husseiniya Bakiyatullah Mosque, which was the home of Sheikh Zakzaky, and lasted over 2 days. As a result of this attack, men, women, and children were executed with excessive force. Bodies were left in the streets, with some piled on top of one another in an attempt to create mass graves, and injured victims were burned alive. Later the same day, members of the community gathered around Sheikh Zakzaky's house in an attempt to deter the military from attempting to arrest or kill him. When the army arrived, they fired at the crowds of men, women, and children. It was during this confrontation that the Sheikh lost 3 of his sons. Witnesses stated that Sheikh Zakzaky and his wife Zinatul were arrested by the military after suffering multiple gunshot wounds. The Sheikh is currently still under arrest by the government in a state of detention in Nigeria's capital. However, no official charges have been made against him. The Human Rights Watch in Nigeria interviewed 16 witnesses and, as a result, classified this attack as wholly unjustified. Although it was reported that some members of the Muslim faith were gathering around the convoy, it was deemed that the military's response was excessive and irresponsible in terms of who was targeted by the attacks. Reports surfaced which stated that children as young as 10 were injured in the attacks carried out by the Nigerian army. However, no reports have concluded the extent of injuries inflicted on the military members who were involved, possibly because there were none. On Quds Day 2014, better known as the last Friday in the holy month of Ramadan, the Nigerian army again opened fire on members of the Islamic movement who were protesting the Zionist rule in Palestine. The attack resulted in 35 members of the Islamic movement being killed, including another 3 sons of the Sheikh being killed by the government. This results in a total of 6 of his sons who have been killed by the Nigerian army. The exact motive behind this attack has not yet been determined. However, it has been assumed that the protest was targeted due to Nigeria's growing relationship with Israel. The events highlighted only represent a small percentage of the attacks that have occurred on the Islamic movement group and minority Muslim groups in Nigeria. These attacks have been largely unprovoked and have used an excessive amount of force, which has not only killed members of the Islamic movement but also other innocent bystanders. The Nigerian army has experienced no consequences as a result of the subsequent attacks, which clearly illustrates that Nigeria is being controlled through a military dictatorship and not through democratic policies. The Human Rights Watch has deemed these events as unjustifiable. However, no action has been taken to prevent the government from carrying out similar attacks again. The attacks themselves are one issue. However, another key area of concern is that the government has imprisoned Sheikh Zakzaky without any formal charges being pressed against him. Nigerian law states that after being arrested, the individual must be presented before a court of law within 1 day. This has not happened for Sheikh Zakzaky, alongside a lack of any official arrest warrant being issued for his detainment. Furthermore, the involvement of the Nigerian military is questionable, as arresting an individual is the main duty of the police. The health of the Sheikh and his wife is another key issue. During the attacks, the Sheikh lost sight in one of his eyes, his left eye, and his wife was reported as also being in serious medical condition. However, the government has refused to acknowledge whether they have been provided with any medical detention or attention, I should say. The government is also refusing to provide any information about their detention, including their location, to their families. This clearly highlights a growing list of human rights laws that are being broken. However, it is only through the attention of the masses, such as you, that something can be done to counter this. Nigeria is a federal republic modeled around the U.S. and has been under the leadership of Muhammadu Buhari from the conservative All Nigerian People's Party, or the ANPP, since 2015. Before Buhari, the People's Democratic Party, or the PDP, won every election from 1999 to 2015. Nigeria is the largest African country in terms of population, with a population of approximately 173 million people, who comprise roughly a 50-50 split between Christians and Muslims, with the majority of the Muslims coming from the Sunni school of thought. The military play a pivotal role within this country's history, as they have regularly seized control and ruled the country for prolonged periods of time. Interestingly, Muhammadu Buhari was a major general within the Nigerian army who became the head of state from 1983 to 1985 following a military coup. The term Buhariism has been used to describe the ideologies he implemented during these 2 years. Nigeria has a history of human rights abuses, ranging from detention within inhumane conditions, excessive force, inadequate protection of civilians, and attacks against Boko Haram and the killing of women and children due to dangerous driving through the Sambisa forest. However, no member of the authority has ever been prosecuted for violating these laws. Now, who is Muhammad Buhari? To understand the future of Nigeria and the future for Sheikh Zakzaky, it is crucial to further understand the leader of the country. As stated previously, Buhari controlled the country during the military coup in 1983 for 2 years. Whilst this was his first time in power, this was not his first military coup. Buhari was involved in the 1966 and 1975 coups, with the later resulted in his promotion from lieutenant colonel to military governor, and again to his appointment as governor of the Northeast state. During his tenure as head of state, Buhari introduced numerous laws and acts that went against basic human rights and attempted to restrict criticism of the government. For example, through his introduction of Decree Number 4, which was described as the most repressive law enacted in Nigeria, Buhari attempted to jail critics of the government. After being overthrown during the military coup in 1985, now that's interesting. He came to power during a military coup and he was overthrown by a military coup in 1985. And spending time in detention, Buhari claimed to be a converted Democrat. Whilst the mandate as to which he won the 2015 election was to defeat extremism, in his attempts to do so, he has come under similar criticism of behaving as a dictator and ignoring the law whilst persecuting members of the opposing party. This is what's taking place in Nigeria today under the Buhari government. Right? So that's today in African history. Once again, I would like to give a special shout out to President Baba Mosi and the sisters and brothers of the Woodson Banneker Jackson Bay Division number 330 UNIA ACL Rehabilitating Committee. That's the Universal Negro Improvement Association, originally founded by the late great Marcus Garvey and the African Community League, who are helping to promote these daily lessons on their Facebook pages. Our goals are the same, and that is to enlighten African people to their glorious history. On the 21st of this month, 21st of February, there will be a special event held by the UNIA ACL via Zoom to honor Marcus Garvey II. I'll give you more details on that later on, inshallah, as we get closer to that date. For those of you who have subscribed and continue to support us, we thank you wholeheartedly. For those of you who have not yet subscribed, we encourage you to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, become a member of the family, like and share, especially to the young amongst us. So until tomorrow, inshallah, this is Today in African History with Baba Shaka. Masalam.